Several conservation groups suing over recent highway approval. How the lawsuit is reigniting a years-long debate. Utah's snowpack sitting at a record low, what Great Salt Lake officials are emphasizing about water use. And a high school musical surprise. A look at the movie's director surprising theater students at East High.
Live and streaming, this is KSL News Now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us for KSL News Now. I'm Lori Pritchard. Brian Carlson is here watching our traffic, and we have some real problems outside.
At least if you're on I-215 in Murray.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in just a bit. But first, Matt Johnson, let's talk about our forecast. Wow, spring-like temperatures. I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, more spring-like than it is winter-like. And that's because high pressure is right overhead today. So calm and mild conditions will last all the way through the weekend. But then that high pressure system starts to break down on Monday. That'll allow for a small storm system to impact Utah on Tuesday. Not looking at a ton from that system, but it's going to open the door for other storms to move in. So your high pressure system absolutely dominating the weather here in the west. Look at the nearest cloud cover bank way out off the west coast, and of course to our east, way out in the Midwest. Not much going on from California to Colorado. You notice the forecast starting in the low 30s. Very similar to what we've seen the last several mornings. Mid-morning 40s, and by afternoon, topping out in the mid-50s. Brian, it's another spring-like day when actually winter never really showed this year, did it?
Well, we just kind of skipped over winter there. Thank you much there, Matt. All right, and you may want to skip this one here this morning. So traffic alert for you in Murray. I-215 on the eastern belt, where it approaches I-15 headed north, so that south interchange. You've got a car right here that rolled and caught fire. They're still working on this right now, and it's blocking the exit from I-215 to I-15 headed north. So I'll give you the map view so you can kind of see it here. So there's you're coming from I-215 right here. That's the exit right there is blocked. Now, traffic freeway speeds around it are now back to normal, but you've got another crash that popped up because of it. And then you've got a series of other crashes kind of going around the valley. So we have one in Murray and then another one here. We just kind of flew all the way up into Weber and Davis County. There's a crash here blocking the exit in Clearfield off of 650 North. And there's a big backups that have been created because of that right through here. Anyway, it's improving right this morning, but a couple of hiccups. Lori?
Well, we continue to follow that breaking news that Brian was just talking about, that crash on I-215 in Murray near 300 West. It's a single vehicle that rolled over and then caught fire. We do have a crew on the scene. These are live pictures, as you can see right now. You can see kind of that mangled car and the smoke that's still coming out of it here as investigators try to piece together exactly what happened. Utah Highway Patrol says the driver got out of that car and is in serious condition at the moment. It's currently blocking 2 right lanes of traffic, and the entry ramp is also closed. We will continue to follow this, and Brian will give you the very latest on how it is impacting your traffic this morning. Meanwhile, right now, authorities in Tooele are investigating 2 shootings that took place about 11 hours apart. Now, the most recent one happened Wednesday morning just off of Main Street.
Just noticed there was a whole lot of cops over there and hanging out. Just hearing, basically telling someone to come out, put the gun down.
Police say they were approached by an armed man in his 40s who they say was shot and killed. They came to that area to investigate another shooting that happened the night before, about 2 miles away at a convenience store, where a man was shot and taken to the hospital. They named 43-year-old Jason Shaw as a person of interest in that case. Police have not confirmed if the person they confronted Wednesday was Shaw, but they don't think there's a public safety threat. Right now, several conservation groups are suing the federal government over a new highway in southern Utah. That lawsuit is reigniting a years-long debate on where the 4-lane north corridor will be built. 6 Utah-based groups say construction will destroy the habitat of the threatened Mojave Desert tortoise within Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. The Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service say nearly 7,000 acres will be added to the reserve, while 153 acres will be used to build the road. The project has been stopped 7 times over concerns on where this will be built. Police in Taylorsville celebrating a big win for the department, saying a recent investigation led to a big blow to drug trafficking operations in the community. With the help of local and federal law enforcement last summer, they were able to seize nearly 72 pounds of meth, 16 pounds of cocaine, 2 pounds of heroin, more than 13 grams of fentanyl and marijuana. They say this all was seized after multiple search warrants as part of an ongoing narcotics investigation. And this morning, authorities in Garfield County are releasing new photos of a missing 69-year-old woman. The sheriff's office says DeEtte Spencer has been missing since January 26th. She was last seen at this Walmart in Price after visiting her family in Colorado. Investigators say they have no reason to suspect foul play, but it hasn't been ruled out. Anyone who might know where Spencer is, they're asked to contact the Garfield County Sheriff's Office. Right now, crews in Carbon County are working to figure out what caused flooding at an underground mine. The Skyline mine is located about an hour's drive from Price. Officials with Canyon Fuel Company tell us it first started flooding last week. Now they tell us everyone got out safely. That company has managed the mine for more than 40 years. They released a statement saying their safety teams are actively managing the situation and they're trying to figure out the extent of the flooding and where the water is coming from. The Skyline mine has also flooded before, back in 2003 when they broke through a significant fault. We're told so far that flooding has not forced anyone out of work. A heads up, 20,000 letters have been sent across the U.S. to people who may have been victim of counterfeit online pharmacies. The Drug Enforcement Agency says these letters are not a scam. Rather, they're asking for information surrounding the pharmacies. The department recently seized over 200 website domains linked to an India-based criminal organization that's been responsible for at least 6 deadly overdoses. They've also shut down over 200 online pharmacies selling pharmaceuticals without valid prescriptions. 4 people have been arrested in connection to these seizures. Utah taking a big step forward on its energy plans. State leaders and Rocky Mountain Power have Utah's first major energy agreement under the Large Load Law passed last year. This deal will expand the state's energy capacity while making sure existing customers don't see higher rates. Governor Spencer Cox says this agreement is a big step for Operation Gigawatt, an initiative to expand the state's power supply without driving up the cost. Utah snowpack still in record low territory, and that's a challenge for officials trying to get water to the Great Salt Lake.
I think that it's really important to emphasize that we are in conservation mode and that we absolutely need to be aware that how we use water matters this year.
Utah's Great Salt Lake Commissioner Brian Steed says while the southern arm of the lake has gained nearly a foot since its lowest point last year, early projections show the lake won't get much of a boost this year. Still, the commissioner's office is holding out hope that the next few months will deliver some storms. Right now, you can get a ticket to Deer Valley for half the price, and it's not because of the lack of snow. In fact, the resort says it's celebrating a record number of runs open right now. Deer Valley expanded its resort this summer. It now has 132 runs available for skiers. That's an all-time high. And to celebrate, they're offering half-day tickets beginning at $12:30 for $132. But the real question this morning is, how is skiing out there, Matt? Because I know we don't have a lot of snow.
Yeah, record low conditions. So that's what I would expect. I'm sure that most of the groomed runs and the cat tracks are fine to go, but if you venture out, off those trails, probably going to be running into a little bit of logs and dirt. Okay, I do have a little bit of haze noted out there. Not too bad. Air quality right on the fence between the good and the moderate. It's where we've been the last several days. 28 in Provo, 31 in Salt Lake, 34 in Ogden. Now, across the southern half, a lot of 20s out there through central Utah. St. George has 40. Satellite and radar, absolutely quiet across the state. A couple of high clouds to our east in Colorado. Today's forecast calling for a 55. Remember, normal low for today is somewhere in the low 40s. 54 in Ogden, Provo, 57. That 57 in Provo is more up towards BYU. Now you've got St. George at 70 degrees today. Going to be mild as ever down in southern Utah. But I do have changes that are starting to show up in the forecast. We'll talk more about that coming up.
All right, thank you much, Matt. Got a traffic alert here for you in Murray, I-215 right now. There's a crash we've been following all morning long where a car rolled and caught fire, and they're still working on putting out that fire. In fact, you can still see the smoke coming from the car here this morning. Because of that, you're trying to get from 215 to I-15 headed north, the ramp is blocked and closed. So be aware of that. And there's a second crash that popped up just behind it. Here's that second crash. Here's the line of people who don't know you can't get from 215 to I-15 this morning. And that's causing some slowdowns here this morning. So if you're going through this area, know you got a couple of crashes. 215 to I-15 headed north is closed. Lori?
Brian, thanks for watching that for us. We appreciate it. All right, turning now to the state capitol, a new bill would require Salt Lake City to partner with UDOT before making any new traffic safety measures. This is in response to some of the bike and bus lanes and medians that have recently been installed downtown. Senator Wayne Harper says some businesses are having trouble getting deliveries and that their customers don't know where to turn to access the parking lot. City leaders worry the bill would impact their efforts to address neighborhood traffic concerns. It has not yet received a committee hearing. Representative Tyler Clancy has introduced a bill to rename part of State Street in Provo to Officer Joseph Shinners Memorial Boulevard. Officer Shinners was killed in the line of duty back in 2019. Clancy says this is the right time to honor him now that the courts have resolved the case of his convicted killer. This bill is currently in a House committee. AARP of Utah says it's watching two bills that would set limits on how much money cryptocurrency ATMs can accept in one transaction. It's an effort to stop crypto fraud. One victim of this scam says she lost $850,000 after she was manipulated into sending money through a gas station crypto ATM.
It was money that I had, but more so money that I borrowed. So I'm in debt up to here with no recourse.
Of the two bills, neither have received a committee hearing yet, but they could soon as this session does continue. In response to a recent KSL investigation, a signature removal campaign has been launched as state Republicans work to repeal Proposition 4. This law, which voters approved back in 2018, effectively bans partisan gerrymandering. A current petition is gathering signatures to try to get that law back on this year's ballot. After reports from voters who said they received bad information, the KSL investigators spoke to 8 signature gatherers. 3 of them did not share accurate information.
If you wanted to be a little bit more liberal, you probably don't want to sign the petition. This is to keep it more conservative. This is to repeal the Prop 4 that the judge passed.
Okay, so to be clear, the judge did not pass Proposition 4. Utah voters did it back in 2018. The judge in this case ruled on a map she believed followed that initiative. In response to this investigation, Better Boundaries said it's reaching out by mail to voters who signed the petition with information on the repeal effort and how their name can be removed if they wish to do so. Now, chair of the Utah Republican Party, Robert Axon, accused the group of trying to mislead voters. In a statement, he said every signature page in a petition book clearly states what is being signed. Every book contains a copy of the proposed language repealing Prop 4. Utahns know how to read and know what they signed. In other developing news, there are reports the Washington Post will begin mass layoffs. Leadership announcing during a Zoom call on Wednesday what it called significant actions across the company. Sources say that means shutting down almost the entire sports section and canceling the Daily Post Reports podcast. Widespread layoffs have been expected for weeks and follows a turbulent year under owner Jeff Bezos. Google's parent company Alphabet says it's planning to double its AI spending this year. It says it plans to spend up to $185 billion in 2026 as it builds artificial intelligence data centers in the U.S. It spent more than $90 billion last year. The higher projected spending comes as Alphabet's annual revenue passed the $400 billion mark for the first time last year. All right, let's check in with Matt Johnson on this Thursday morning. We call it Friday Junior, Baby Friday.
Yes.
Whatever you want to call it, we're almost to the weekend.
That's right, Friday Junior. It is Thursday, folks, in case you were wondering. And I got a cool photo here for you. This is a vertical rainbow prism. You can kind of see it jetting out of the ground, or so the optical illusion is seeming that way. This is actually ice crystals suspended in the atmosphere, and the sun's coming in and bending the light in such a way that we're getting a vertical rainbow here. Sometimes these vertical rainbows actually make part of a more complete halo that's encountering the ground. So there may be another one just off to our left-hand side, not pictured here. Edwin, thanks for sending that in. Okay, another dry stretch. St. George, you're at 27 straight days with no measurable precip. We've gone over 100, 130 days before. Even within the last 5 years, we've done that. So it's not huge, but it's not great to go a full month without rain. High pressure over the northern half of the state, and then these small little lows lined up. They're going to help break down and uproot this high. They could be sending some precip our way. I'll show you what I mean. This is Saturday. You've got a little something in southern Utah. I just count on clouds and maybe some virga sprinkles. Now a little bit of a change to the forecast. Monday, 5 o'clock, front is still to the northwest. It'll finally move in a day later than what we were thinking. Tuesday, potentially lasting into Wednesday, as the core of low pressure slides down the west coast. If this low was more positioned over Utah, we get a prolonged period of more precipitation, but models now hinting it's going to slide down the coast, which is fine because we weren't anticipating this first storm to be big anyways. It'll help open the door. We like that. Monticello, you've got 54. St. George has a 70. Across that northern region, how about some haze for the valleys? But Heber City topping out at 58 is just wild for February. 57 in Provo, 56 in Eagle Mountain, and across the Wasatch, you've got that light haze, but not bad. St. George, up near 70 degrees all the way through Monday. Now next Tuesday, Wednesday, hey, how about some changes? 60 with a chance for PM showers on Tuesday. Wasatch Front, I got 55 to 56, mid and upper 50s all the way through, Super Bowl Sunday and the following Monday. Now there's your rain chances. Best chance on Tuesday, mostly cloudy Wednesday. Hoping for some substantial precip out of this thing, hopefully.
Yeah, rain, snow, we'll take whatever we can get. Thank you much there, Matt. You got a big snag here this morning on I-215 at the south interchange from I-215 to I-15 in Murray. So you've got a car that caught fire, rolled right here, and then it's because of this issue right there, they're blocking the exit from 215 to northbound I-15. Now, what people don't realize is that you can't get on the exit right here, and that caused a crash earlier this morning, just back a ways. So this is looking at from that area, looking at the back end of all those backups through this area. Now it's starting to kind of clear out. People are kind of figuring out, okay, I just have to go around it here. But this area right through here, 215 to I-15 will slow you down this morning. Lori?
All right, Brian, thanks. KSL News specialist Deanie Wimmer covering the Olympics in Milan, and she had the chance to talk to Olympic speed skaters, hear how they're feeling about the opening ceremony, which is happening tomorrow night. Utah speed skater Brittany Bowe is at her final Olympics, while fellow Utah teammate Cooper McLeod is at his first. Both say they are eager to show what they can do. Utah speed skater Casey Dawson is trying to enjoy this moment and also perform his best to earn the U.S. gold.
I'm just looking forward to representing everyone I know proudly, my home state of Utah and the USA. It's always an honor to wear the flag on my back whenever I race.
Team members who competed in Beijing mentioned just how much better it is this time without COVID. And now they can socialize with their teammates and have their families with them as well. The Olympics opening ceremony gets started this Friday, and you can see it live at noon or the replay at 7 o'clock right here on KSL. Or better yet, come to the downtown Salt Lake City party and join us at Washington Square. It is the official watch party. And the other big sporting event just around the corner is the Super Bowl. It's Sunday. It's the most consistently watched television event in the U.S. each year. And when it comes to the commercials, the competition to win your attention may be just as fierce as the game. NBC, who's carrying the game this year, says some companies are paying upwards of $10 million for a 30-second ad. Companies also measure success by just how much buzz those commercials get online, which is why many are releasing their ads ahead of the Super Bowl. And a big part of people's Super Bowl Sunday is the food. And this year, you could be spending more for your favorite snacks. Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute crunched those numbers on a spread for a party of 10 and what it will cost you. And it will cost you more, 1.6% more this year. It says some of fan favorites are trending lower, things like chips and chicken wings, but proteins, things like beef, are at a higher price. Fresh veggies are also up 2 to 4%. But who eats veggies on Super Bowl Sunday, right? Okay, Utah Jazz player Isaiah Collier is headed back where it all began. Wheeler High School in Georgia is retiring Collier's number 4 jersey during a halftime ceremony. He was a 5-star recruit after graduating, spending 1 season at USC before being selected by the Jazz with the 29th pick of the first round. Just this week, Collier recorded a career-high 22 assists against Indiana, becoming the youngest player in the NBA to reach 20 assists in the game. And this year will mark the 250th anniversary of this country. And as Utah celebrates that milestone, we stopped by a few classrooms and talked to students who are learning about history.
We are still such a new country, but we have so much rich history that is super, super important to learn about.
I believe that it means that we all are willing to fight to make sure we're all equal, no matter who we are.
Laura Pratt is a teacher at Churchill Junior High School. She says it's important to teach her kids that we all have a responsibility to make sure democracy works. Mrs. Pratt also extends those very same lessons to a group of senior citizens at Friendship Manor. And we appreciate our teachers. My mama was a teacher, and I know how hard they work. So, all right, Matt Johnson, teach us about the weather right now. Things are not good, and we all know that because we look outside and it feels like spring.
Yeah, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because we need to get the rain and the snow, but I think there's also a lot of people on the other end that love to jog outside, be outside, and this is kind of the weather that makes that possible. 36 in Kanab, 40 in St. George. No morning jog unless you're a stalwart out there in Panguitch. It's 13 right now, 28 in Price, and 26 in Monticello. Across the Wasatch Front, you've got 20s and 30s all across the board here, including the Wasatch Back. Heber's 19. You're going to top out at 58 later today. That's a 50-degree rise from the morning. Crazy. 55 sunshine in the city of Salt Lake. We'll continue with Wasatch Front temperatures mid and upper 50s, Brian. Get outdoors.
Yeah, and a lot of people in my neighborhood are. Thank you much there, Matt. All right, we got a snag here this morning in I-215 in Murray right here. So the southbound interchange, you're trying to get from 215 to I-15. You've got a car that rolled and caught fire. It's blocking the exit. Again, we checked back in with this throughout the morning because it's still an issue. So the exit is closed right there. You've got these backups that it's creating because people don't know. And then obviously you've got some slowdowns because of it. So be aware right through here. 2 crashes because of this. This will slow you down, and you can't get from I-215 headed west to I-15 headed north at the south interchange in Murray. Lori?
Well, it has been 20 years since High School Musical first premiered, and to commemorate that occasion, movie director Kenny Ortega headed back to the home of the Wildcats for a special visit and school assembly with those students. The students even had a special treat for Kenny Ortega, performing the musical for the man who made it.
All these kids weren't here, and they're up on that stage doing the show. They're doing High School Musical 20 years later. We had hoped that we were going to reach people. We had no idea that we were going to last 20 years.
Ortega says he was blown away at how many young men were up on the stage performing, and he says he hopes that the musical inspired all the Troy Boltons out there to take a leap. Thanks so much for joining us on this Thursday morning for KSL News Now. We leave you with a live look of Salt Lake City waking up. Have a great day, everyone.